turn on my interpreter now. Ooh, you're all pleased about that, aren't you? Sorry, I need to apologise at the moment. I do have a woman's voice.
Nothing wrong with that.
But I'd just like to introduce myself first of all, and then I'll talk about what it means to be a deaf person and the meaning of the word deaf. And then I'll talk about accessibility for deaf people and how it might relate to all of you as technical writers. Okay, so that's my plan for today. So I am deaf and I was born deaf. I had hearing parents. I have a deaf wife and 3 hearing girls. So it's a bit of a hat trick, really. So 3 girls, done. After that, no more, thank you. So it's a typical deaf family, really, where deaf parents have hearing children. So about 90% of deaf parents have hearing children. I studied at the University of New South Wales in electrical engineering. I love electronics, and especially Arduinos. I worked as a technical writer for 15 years, and then now I've changed into the community service space where I'm a manager now for a non-for-profit organisation. I'm very passionate about Phantom Comics, the colour purple, and cycling. Also, my other passion is cycling. Same as some of you, I've seen that you enjoy cycling. So here I am. So last weekend, this is my most recent cycling challenge with my daughter there. Enough about me now. Alright, I have a question for all of you. How many people do you think in Australia are deaf? How many? What do you think? How many deaf people in Australia? Do you have a number? Do you have a percentage? Fraction?
4 million?
10%.
Alright, there's actually about 25 million people in Australia. Of that, 1 in 6 people have a hearing loss. So it's quite a lot of people, 1 in 6. Yeah, it's a considerable number. So as we know, a lot of older people get a hearing loss or have tinnitus or issues later on in life. Some people are born deaf. So another question for all of you is, can you tell if a person is deaf or not? How do you know? If you look at someone, so when you first met me, if I wasn't signing, how would you know if someone's deaf? Deaf people are quite a unique group. Blind people, you might be able to see them using their cane, walking along the street, or they might have their guide dog with you. Someone in a wheelchair, you might see them in their wheelchair using a ramp. Maybe someone with cerebral palsy, they might walk differently. But deaf people, when they start to sign, that's when you might identify they're deaf. So there's many different deaf people in our community. We have diversity, same as the hearing community. For example, we have deaf gay people, Aboriginal deaf people, straight deaf people. We have a mix of deaf people. And in this case, we have a dual identity. We are deaf, but then we have something else that signifies us. I won't go into all the information at the moment due to time limit. But anyway, just to say that I'm a normal person, the same as all of you. I love writing, I love being a documentarian. So we're all the same. Do you enjoy Phantom Comics like me? Who else is a lover of Phantom Comics? Fabulous. I'm in the right crowd. So I'll talk about what it means to be deaf. We have deaf people and people who are hard of hearing. So why would I specify these two groups? Hard of hearing people are people who can talk. Maybe they lost their hearing later in life as they got older, or maybe through workplace accidents or injury. But then we have deaf people who have a capital D starting the word deaf, and they identify themselves as part of the deaf community because they use sign language. So I'm a deaf person myself with a capital D because I'm part of a small community that use sign language. Hard of hearing people is quite a large number of our community. So we normally say deaf people and hard of hearing. So we include both groups when we're talking about accessibility. We're talking about those people that use sign language and those people that have become deaf later in life and are hard of hearing. Many people ask me the same question: do you have a universal sign language? And I respond and say, do you have a universal spoken language? And then they sort of get the idea. So I guess I could ask you, how many spoken languages are there in the world? Thousands. And that's the same as sign languages. We have many sign languages as well. So here's the family tree of how sign languages have originated and evolved throughout the world. So I use Auslan, which is Australian Sign Language. So we shorten it to Australian Sign Languages, and it's come from two sign languages: Irish, which is a different language in itself, and English, which is BSL, British Sign Language. And they sort of come together and merge to become Australian Sign Language, which has become its own official language. Again, not enough time to go more into this. Alright, so as all of you technical writers here, accessibility is a very important issue, and it needs to include deaf and hard of hearing people when you're considering your users, because as I said, 1 in 6 people have a hearing loss, so it's quite a significant number. So if you can write clear and concise documentation, it's a win-win for both the deaf community and the hearing community. So deaf people really like to read with web images. It needs to be clear with a supporting diagram. That would be the perfect scenario for us. For me, many computer games and videos online, they don't have captioning, and that's very frustrating. YouTube sometimes have automatic captioning. Not many, but some of them can have an automatic captioning system which generates itself. I think it comes from Google. And sometimes they're fabulous and they work really well, but sometimes they don't make sense. So, yeah. So if you include video in your documentation, it would be really lovely to include subtitles or captioning. If not, then a transcript link would be perfect. If not, then as a minimum, a little bit of script or summary of what the video is about would be perfect, because otherwise it's extremely frustrating, because I go, oh look, there's a video, and then I go, oh, I don't know what that is, and then it's a really poor user experience. So maybe you wonder how I function as a deaf professional in the hearing world. Well, in the workplace, I can use real-time chat, email, we can write back and forward to each other, I can educate you on sign language, and I work with a lot of very patient people. I have been very fortunate to get government funding through the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Does anyone know what NDIS is, the National Disability Insurance Scheme? So that's where I get approved funding, and I get a plan. And so therefore, I can have beautiful interpreters like the ones here today. As I said again, I still have my female voice on. So I'm very fortunate to work with a fabulous group of people throughout my professional life, and especially in they're a special breed who work with me. So I'd just like to talk about how you can make your documentation accessible for everybody, in particular the deaf community. So the most important is to provide multiple contact options options for people. So many websites have a phone number for people to ring up and talk to an organisation. Well, the phone number is not going to work well for deaf people because they can't use a phone. So then we need other options, for example, email, web chat. So please provide a variety of contact options. The second one, I said before, is to provide captions for video. If you don't, the second option would be a transcript, and as a last resort, it would be great to have a description of what the video is about. So the third point, it would be excellent to use simple English, so clear and user-friendly English, so plain English. Yep, I'm up to the fourth option. Please use social media. It's an excellent tool for deaf people to be involved and great for deaf people to see. They really use social media to their advantage, deaf people. And finally, website and online description navigation. So make it really simple for them, short and descriptive. So if we have a table of contents, make sure it's clear, it's really structured well and easy for people to navigate, so that the process is logical and linear. So a clear table of content would be beneficial. I could go on and on all day, but I feel like I've given you enough information. If you really want to know more about Auslan, please Google the word Auslan, or you can come and ask me afterwards. So thank you very much for your attention.